few basic mistakes that you are likely to avoid. Okay, that you cannot impress upon the examiner by writing your best answer, but what is required is to hit the question. In most of the questions, many a times I see you start by although some small definition is good, but many times you mention things which are of no relevance related to that question. First, time management. All 20 questions should be equally celebrated and given due diligence, followed by hitting the question. Okay, give a very meaningful introduction, and then when you write something, you give a reason. Hello students, I hope you all are doing well. I'm sure you all are working hard. Okay, so this is just that main stage of the examination is round the corner. So I thought of having some conversation for 5 to 7 minutes where we'll try to emphasize on the common mistakes that students commit or how things can be improved, and we'll also try to figure out certain key areas which have been in news for past 1 year or so, which are probable to be asked in the GS paper 2, that is for polity and governance. Okay, so I have in fact prepared a small note also on that. Okay, few basic mistakes that you are likely to avoid. Okay, that is what you call. So first let's understand the what you call the exam, how you would be taking about. Okay, so in the exam, few things you need to keep in mind. Okay, first important thing is time management. Why time management? You know, there are 20 questions. Okay, before 7-8 years, UPSC used to give answer scripts and you can start writing. You can attempt question number 17 as your first question. Okay, this used to be the case before 8-9 years. Now there is no such thing. UPSC gives you printed booklet where you have to start and you have to write your answers in the stipulated space that is given. Okay, so when the answer scripts were given, you were having a better option. Why? Because when you answer scripts were given, then you could start writing those questions which you know better. Maybe possible out of 20-10 questions you would be really good at, 5 good, and 2-3 questions average, and 1 or 2 questions you may not know. So you had the liberty to start from any question. Now that they are giving you answer scripts where the question is printed and the stipulated space within that you need to write. So in this, there is one small thing that needs to be understood, that you cannot impress upon the examiner by writing your best answer, because examiner will start evaluating from question number 1, which is printed. So in those days when they used to give answer scripts, you can start by giving your best answer, which creates a very good impression. This has been a conventional thing, and many of our very senior and respectable teachers and I as a teacher have realized that for the first few questions which are to be attended, that is a very important impression. Okay, that gives an impression in the minds of the examiner, so it will give you some edge. Okay, so consistency remains a key now. Why? Because all the questions should be of some decent standard, especially when you write the initial questions. Okay, that sets a parameter for you, that creates an impression in the minds of examiner, although it is not always necessary, but yes. So one thing you need to understand is time management. I'm very sure that you have been communicated about the same. So you just during the phase when you will be writing your mains test series, okay, you must have got into the habit of time management, that 20 questions are there, 7 to 8 minutes I can devote to one question, what time I will take to read the question. Okay, so time management remains a key. In fact, we have a note on this also. Okay, so time management remains a key. Few important things other than time management which I'll be talking about now. Okay, key one thing which I see, this is something after time management, you cannot give too much time to one question and less time to other question. I can give you umpteen number of stories from the class, and students who have qualified actually did that by writing most of the questions consistently average or good, rather than writing few questions very good and skipping few questions. No, you must understand that even if you attempt 20 questions on a good skill, then also very strong chances of getting selected, rather than attempting 14 out of 20 questions very good and skipping other questions or not writing that good. So always ensure that time management's right from the onset when you get the question paper. That remains a key. Second important thing is hitting the question. This is something which I am actually surprised that many, not about the students who are in the foundation course and who have not written mains, especially those who have written mains and those who are writing again and those who are writing test series, or those good students who come with their answer scripts in the class. We must understand that there is an ocean of information and knowledge that can be exhibited in the answer script. Okay, but what is required is to hit the question. In most of the questions, many a times I see you start by, although some small definition is good, but many times you mention things which are of no relevance related to that question. They are asking about Indus Valley civilization, relevance in contemporary urban planning, or so you have to hit not about the IVC, Indus Valley civilization, much first phase, second phase, but rather the direct question which is hinting towards the urban planning. So sticking to the question is something which is very, very important. Please understand, don't write. Day before yesterday also I was evaluating an answer script. I was actually surprised, a student writing mains. Okay, so very good student, wonderful answers, but in some of the questions I noticed that writing things which are not necessary. Always read the question very, very meticulously and try to stick to the question only. You have stipulated time, you have what you call limited space. You cannot be exhibiting your opulence over a particular topic by writing things which are not asked. So this is something which is very, very important. Next important thing, that mundane, conventional, cliche, normative statements given at the onset about an explanation or a definition is good. But believe me, you would simply rise the ladder if you just start with some conventional statement, write something in current affairs. If some conventional statement, write a code, write a statistics, which must be precise and explicit. Okay, so you just, when the examiner starts reading your answer script, he must be literally bold in the first paragraph also only. So why you just write something which is of contemporary relevance, write something which is a statistics not taken from any unconventional sources, but mention the source, write a quote, write something related to a living example, write something which is related to what you call quoted by Supreme Court, or write something which is a government document is saying, and a definition. Your introduction must be very fine and directly to the demand of the question. One other thing I noticed, that if you add more examples, for example, you're talking about any scheme, you can give examples from, for example, you have social, what you call audit, some state enacting a legislation, or Telangana doing something good on women development, Madhya Pradesh doing something good in the area of geography, especially agriculture, Maharashtra doing something good. So give some live examples, and very, very importantly, link them with current affairs. The office of governor, who doesn't know? Article 163, 164, the approval of bills in article 200, 201, appointment of governor. But the point is, if you give some recent example without, of course, not naming Supreme Court judgment or something which is contemporary, some commission that has recommended, although that can come later, but something that is relevant, that is recent. So I would say what you call time management, hitting the question, and introduction must be very, very impressive, and it must be to the question. So impressive means that one normative definition followed by some according to the recent, or some judgment, some quote which impresses upon the examiner. Next important thing which is there, many a times I see there is a difference between how you take prelims and how do you take mains. In prelims you need to arrive at a conclusion, but in mains you have to write something, so you must also substantiate your point. For example, you wrote that what you call has that the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Yojana scheme has done this good, okay, has overall empowered women, but you must back that according to the National Family Health Survey, or according to this or anything related to sex ratio, or anything related to women, any annual status of education report, ASER Pratham's report, or any such thing. So whenever you say something, any point that you are raising, in the middle of your answer, that must be substantiated by the source. So it is a very common generic statement should be avoided, that this scheme has really been good. How? Whether it has been, so yes, whether it has had an impact on child sex ratio, on education, on women empowerment, more women participating in the workforce, more women what you call in the members as a member of parliament in Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, more women qualifying civil services, more women taking economic leadership, more women in India coming out with respect to various participation in private sector. So always whenever you say something, rather than writing too generic, substantiate. So I would say first, time management. All 20 questions should be equally celebrated and given due diligence, followed by hitting the question. Not, I am actually surprised that don't write something which is not being asked in the exam. So, and especially those students who are writing mains, and they would be writing. So try to stick to the question. Okay, give a very, very meaningful introduction. And then when you write something, you give a reason that to substantiate your point. I'll give you example. For example, you are writing about Sabrimala case. So you will write about the judgment pronounced by the Supreme Court. On the other hand, Justice Indu Malhotra ma'am, she gave what you call the reasons why she said that no, women should not be allowed to enter the temple complex. So she also found it protective under Article 26, or she said that these practices should not be stricken down by the courts unless they are as evil as Sati, so pernicious. Otherwise, the court should not interfere in religious matters. So when you are writing on a particular topic, you will give both the sides. These are the positives of the judgment, this is the outcome of the judgment. On the contrary to the same, you will also give that okay, this is also the religious aspect, sentimental aspect. In that, rather than writing by yourself, you may also quote the minority opinion of Honorable Justice Indu Malhotra ma'am, that will substantiate. So on any question, you are writing both positives and negatives. Challenges may, when you write, if you can substantiate from a standard source, it will do well. So these are the things. A few more things I would like to add, that always remember that over the period of time, undoubtedly in mains as well as in prelims, UPSC is giving more emphasis on governance. Okay, so, and it is absolutely tough to dissect governance from what you call and social justice from polity. For example, there is National Commission for Backward Classes, Article 338B, constitutional provision and all such thing. What are the reports? What is the impact? To what extent the commission has been able to achieve the mandate? So what is the constitutional safeguard and status of the commission in the constitution is a static thing. Any recent report, what report has highlighted if a parliamentary committee has talked about the commission, you mention. So always try to link it with current affairs, giving some example and all such things. Okay, and try to avoid writing the names of the thinkers and all. It is a convention that in GS stage, usually the examiner should never get to know your mains optional. In GS, you must write generic answers only, not to with some current affairs and relevance, but not mix it with your optional. That the if you are having political science or any optional, then you must not exhibit. Try not exhibiting the same in GS. Okay, because the expectation of the examiner rises. Related to some topics, see, although I thought of giving some topics over the period of time, being honest, most of the time the topics that we have what you call predicted, not all, of course it is quite impossible, but a substantial number of them have found their place in the mains examination. Okay, so if I just recollect now, you see that the office of governor has remained extremely important. In the office of governor, 5-6 topics are there which are likely to be asked by UPSC, because the office of governor is a very, very generic thing. First thing you understand, this question, a very generic question can be asked, the relevance of governor from the perspective of federalism. How governor acts as an important fulcrum between the center and state, a pivot to the relationship between center and state. In general, they can ask a question about the office of governor. Do you think the office of governor has added more to federalism than hindering the same? Or do you think the idea of federalism gets defeated due to an appointed governor? So they may ask you a very static standard question, which is only talking about the office of governor, its relevance in contemporary era, especially through the prism of what you call federalism, center-state relations. So in that, you must know about the office of governor, some basic facts. And in this, you can substantiate why we opted for a non-elected appointed governor, the relevance of office of governor. Isme, you can add some 1 or 2 points from the Constituent Assembly debates, that why the office of governor and how it is important for federalism and what are the challenges. Next, to key areas hai. The calling of an assembly session, इसके लिए Punjab went to Supreme Court. Okay, उसके बाद appointment of the what you call vice chancellors, ये इशू इसी में से दे आर लाइकली टू आस्क अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ वाइस चांसलर, इसमें डॉक्टर श्रीजीत वर्सेस राजा श्री इशू, एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम टेक्नोलॉजिकल यूनिवर्सिटी वाइस चांसलर अपॉइंटमेंट was struck down by the Supreme Court. So to what extent governors have enjoy independence in the appointment of vice chancellors, if any? Okay, so this you can go through. Then it is the common difference between Council of Ministers and Governor, Article 164, 163 of the Constitution, that the governor shall act on the advice of Council of Ministers. Then we have Article 111, bills. Okay, in that you should know 8th August 2020, 8 August 8 April 2025 judgment, governor versus the state of Tamil Nadu, that judgment. Okay, then judgment of Supreme Court, then Article 143. Recently the Supreme Court has the President of the Republic of India has sought an advice from Supreme Court, so advisory jurisdiction. And this judgment, what is the impact of this judgment? So basically related to governor, you have what you call the issues arising out of the Council of Ministers advice or appointment of vice chancellor, calling of an assembly session, bills. एक और issue which used to be in news, that is imposition of precedent rule and the role of governor. So इसमें से they may be asking one question. So office of governor, what questions they can ask, I have tried to figure out. In ये एक generic static question है. The very idea of the existence of office of governor as an agent of the center, to what extent it furthers the goal of constitution or it further cements federalism. ये तो एक ये हो गया. Okay. Next important thing is language. Most likely there will be a question, there may be a question on language. इसमें you should go through article 343 से 351, very important. इसमें भी article 343 is important, 344 is very important, 348 is important, 350A and 350B and 351 and one more article, what you call 351 and one more, where the what you call the president can direct the state to recognize a minority language or language which is spoken by a section of population in the state. So 347 also you go through, basically from 343 to 351. One second, last year classical languages, new classical languages have been recognized. Just go and search classic language PIB, Press Information Bureau, October 2024. You will get the criteria to be recognized as classical language and what are the steps that are being taken. Ho gaya? Then you should know about Article 29 and Article 30, especially 29. Linguistic, any section of citizens can conserve their language, script and culture. Isme TMA Pi Foundation case is very, very important. Okay. TMA Pi Foundation case आप देखेंगे, you will look into that. Article 29 भी important है. This is related to language. एक और judgment last year जो आया है, अंजुम कादरी case, where you will find this judgment, अंजुम कादरी case, यूपी मदरसा बोर्ड एक्ट पे judgment है. Just go and type Supreme Court judgment summaries. There will be a page, Supreme Court judgment summary. You will click over there. Year wise, you go to the corner and select 2024. So there is a Center for Research and Planning inside Supreme Court. They actually give the brief gist and a synopsis, a brief what you call small decided points or a very summary of the judgment. Okay, so you can Anjum Qadri case related to UP Madarsa Board. This is something which is there. Next important thing related to recognition of minority. इसमें you article 30 में there is a case, the minority educational institution, how they are recognized, what are the provisions in the constitution. Article 30 clause 1, all minorities whether based on religion or language shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. So इसमें एक question आ सकता है minority पे. Article 30 clause 1, अब what all questions can be asked? सबसे पहले you will go through Aligarh Muslim University judgment, that is AMU through its registrar Faizan Mustafa versus Naresh Agarwal. This judgment was delivered. Again, you go and read as Supreme Court judgment summaries that you will find at the website of Supreme Court. There is a Center for Research and Planning. Just type, it will come. Okay. Minority में AMU Naresh Agarwal case, TMA Pi Foundation case. Okay. If you want to add what you call, there is Inamdar case also, that also you can add. Then you talk about Ashwini Upadhyay case. In this, who is a minority in India? So state-wise recognition should be granted. So this petition is pending in Supreme Court. Then you go through National Commission for Minorities Act and National Commission for Minority Educational Institution Act 2004, and this is 92. So ये तो तीन topic which are of contemporary relevance. Abhi there are many, I'll say. Okay, mains में you will find them. Okay. Next, you know about fiscal federalism. Okay, federalism, this 1 month class is also not, federal is enough, because federalism is an ever expanding topic. But still I've tried to summarize this. Federalism में fiscal federalism especially, the relevance of GST, for many years they have not asked. The Prime Minister also stated that we are going to reduce, too many slabs are there. Then you also see about 15th Finance Commission vis-a-vis the 16th Finance Commission that has been constituted. Then you see the provisions like Article 265, no tax shall be levied save by the authority of law, and also Article 275, grant in aid, 282 discretionary grant, 280 Finance Commission, 269 that is related to interstate consignment, 268, getting my point, 281 presentation of the reports of the Finance Commission. Go through fiscal aspect of federalism, that is an important thing. Okay, so this is third important thing. Fourth, we will see the office of vice president and president. UPSC has this habit that if the office of vice president is in news, they may also ask president. If the office of president is in news, to confuse you, they may ask you vice president. So this time the office of vice president has been used. So prepare, especially Article 67 of the Constitution, powers of vice president, compare that with the president of vice president of United States. This also is important. Compare this with vice president of United States. इसमें थोड़ा vice president is the smallest, one of the smallest topic in the syllabus. Mainly powers, comparing it with vice president of US and removal of vice president. President में तो it's an executive, legislative power and all, and especially comparing with the president of United States. This also I expect there may be one question in mains. Okay, another very important question, Election Commission of India. Although election is a sea of topics and subtopics are there, but primarily you see the special intensive revision in Bihar. इसमें क्या-क्या important है? Representation of People Act 1950 is a very small law. Just go and read, it will take 10 minutes only. So especially electoral registration officer, registration as a voter. Then you see Article 324 of the Constitution, 325 no separate electoral roll, and 326 universal adult suffrage. You go through these. Then this is Election Commission of India, and isme or topics which registration of political parties also is important. Okay, section 29A, condition to be recognized as a national party, state party, what are the issues going on. This Election Commission said there is a likelihood of one question that can be asked. Okay, although I remember the topics, still there are few which we have what you call this thing. Okay, now most of the topics, some ancillary, the emergency. So governor, minority, language, I am highlighting the topics, office of governor, language, minority institutions, fiscal federalism, office of vice president, election commission of India. Other than this, there may be one question which I'm expecting, because a lot of issue, multiple things, one nation, one election, they have already asked. I told you election se thoda vibrant set of topics that can emanate from election. Okay, so this is something which is what you call there. Then you see one more thing, ki if you see last 1.5 years, what all issues have been a matter of public discourse, and whatever issues have gone to the Supreme Court. So the political parties have gone related to special intensive revision, electoral bond scheme for simultaneous holding of elections. Then you have the provisions related to women reservation, all such thing, actual impact. Okay, the credibility of elections as such, that also remains a key issue. The rise of regional parties, to what extent this is there, all such. Ab aate hai one more point, that is judiciary. Okay, ab judiciary mein you will start with these things. So I expect you are writing mains, judicial review and all, but what are the key issues? One, appointments. Appointments every year remain a key issue. Then you have separation of powers. Okay, how the relationship between judiciary, executive and legislature, especially collegium this time, because a lot of noise and a lot of other things are post judicial appointments, say ethical aspect maybe they can ask a question, and separation of powers. Then you will see the power of judicial review, to what extent they get the balancing, as this is closely interlinked, but still judicial review, what is judicial review and what all aspects. Then you see the judicial activism, कि क्या Supreme Court by giving the judgment, whether it is an example of judicial activism, overreach or adventurism. Okay, so relationship between judiciary, executive and legislature, this can be asked this time. Okay, so I have highlighted you the key things. Okay, most of the things we have 7th schedule also, you can say few constitutional amendments you can go through. Okay, so all such important things are there. 2 questions more. One, the 20 years of Right to Information Act. So go through the challenges and other aspects, bring something new, go to some, see basic things everyone knows. Come to some important statistics, and all, do not rely upon source which are not known. Always stick to a very standard source, and what has been the performance of Right to Information Act and all those things, okay, that you can do. Okay, so during the exam also, all such articles, judgments and all you will write. Okay, see, I will tell you, key, it is always remember, matlab, you're with the same kind of information, two people can bring absolutely different marks. It is not only about information and knowledge, it is also about how you keep yourself calm, and most importantly, planning. You know, it is said ki if you want to, for example, if I want to write an essay for 3 hours, first 20 minutes I'll plan, I will highlight all the important, I'm just not saying this about UPSC essay, in general. So whenever you take something, you plan a lot. So in when you get the question paper, you are reading, you devote your time well, stick to the question, always gives whenever possible articles, and never quote from an unknown source. Try to have on, there are hardly 80 to 90 topics if you mix in, which are important in all the 4 papers. You need to have some standard statistics from this. Okay, if you can do things every, try to increase 1 marks in every question. Okay, so it will overall increase your marks by, you can imagine, 80-90 marks. That is more than enough to catapult your rank. Okay, so you do these things. I think I have covered myself. Okay, so I'm very sure that the kind of answers I see many a times, I'm too encouraged, and I'm so happy you all are working hard. Okay, so I'm sure you'll do well. This was just because we wanted to have this brief conversation before the mains. My heartfelt wishes are with you. All the very best. God bless you. By the grace of God, you all will come out with flying colors. Thank you.